Have you ever had a dream that was so big you just didn't know where to even start? I mean, imagine deciding to build your own house from the ground up. Sounds incredible, right? But what happens when you've got the ambition, maybe even the land, but you have absolutely no clue what kind of house you actually want? Well, today we're going to dive into exactly that. A journey of building a dream that starts with one very honest and very relatable problem.
And there it is. That's the feeling that kicks this whole thing off. This isn't just a tiny bit of doubt, this is the central conflict. Before a single nail is hammered, our main character is staring at this huge truth. The dream itself is a complete blur. It's a feeling I think we can all relate to, right? Whenever we face a giant, life-changing project, that first step can feel like jumping into a thick fog.
So, where does a dream like this even come from? Well, turns out it didn't start with one clear vision. Nope, it started with two beautiful and completely contradictory daydreams. Let's take a look at what was swirling around in our author's head. Okay, so on one hand, you have this incredibly idyllic, almost storybook fantasy. Just picture it. A snowy day, you're looking out at a peaceful wooden cabin. You can practically smell the warm, comforting aroma of baking bread in the air. It's a vision of pure comfort, warmth, a home that feels like a giant warm hug.
And then you have this, a total 180, an image ripped straight from a high-end design magazine. It's all sleek, modern, sophisticated. Cool tones, black steel, sharp lines. It's bold, it's chic, and it is the absolute opposite of that cozy cabin. So, which one is it? A warm hug or a cool, minimalist masterpiece? Yeah, our author had no idea.
You know, daydreaming is the fun part. But then comes the reality check. It's time to talk to the architects. And architects, well, they don't really work with vague feelings. They need concrete answers.
And that's it. The first, simplest, and most terrifying question they ask. It's the one that just cuts right through all the daydreams. For someone who knows what they want, this is an exciting moment. But for our author, it's pure panic. How in the world do you answer that when your mind is a battleground between a rustic cabin and a modern steel box?
So the architect's questions, they really all come down to these three big things. Number one, what's the vision? What's the core concept? Number two, what's your budget? And number three, what materials are you thinking? Concrete, wood, steel? These are the absolute foundations of the project, and our author was completely unprepared for every single one.
And this slide, wow, it just lays out the problem so perfectly, doesn't it? It shows this massive gap between what the professionals need and, well, the reality. The architect needs a clear concept. Our author has conflicting daydreams. The architect needs a defined budget. Our author has no money in the bank. The architect asks about materials. The only guideline they get is, just as long as it isn't cold. You can just feel the awkward silence in that meeting room.
So, if the confusion in your own head wasn't enough, the outside world is about to make things so much worse. Because the minute you tell people you're building a house, suddenly everyone is an expert.
I mean, just look at this wall of noise. You start hearing it from all sides. Oh, second floors are totally useless. Don't use wood, it's so noisy, it creaks all the time. Whatever you do, don't build a big house, you'll regret the upkeep. A lawn? Are you crazy? It's nothing but hard labor. And then, the final crushing blow. You only do this once, so you better not mess it up. Every single piece of advice just piles on more confusion, more anxiety.
And the weight of all of it, the indecision from the inside and all that noise from the outside, it just became too much. And this is the crucial part. It wasn't a small setback. The author actually quit. The entire project was just put on hold, all because that feeling of being disorganized and completely overwhelmed was just too powerful to handle.
This part really gets to the emotional heart of it all. It wasn't just about the practical stuff anymore. It became a full-blown crisis of confidence. With every single meeting, our author just felt smaller and smaller. They started feeling envious of other clients, the ones who would walk in with these big binders full of ideas and a clear, confident plan.
But then, something starts to shift. After hitting what feels like rock bottom, after quitting the whole project, a new perspective starts to bubble up. This is the big turning point, the moment where the chaos stops being something to fear and becomes something to embrace.
And right here, this is the single most important idea in this entire story. It's a total reframing of the whole experience. All that indecisiveness, the confusion, the feeling of being a total amateur. It's not a failure. It's not something to be ashamed of. Instead, it becomes a part of the story. It's content.
It's the very thing that makes this journey so unique and, honestly, way more interesting.
I mean, what if not knowing is actually a good thing? Think about it. It forces you to ask way more questions, to learn things more deeply, to explore all these different possibilities you would have just ignored if you'd had a rigid plan from day one. The goal changes from just building a house to creating this rich, meaningful story of discovery. The journey really does become the destination.
This is such an empowering thought, isn't it? It's about confronting that feeling of not being good enough head-on. Is it some kind of crime to chase a dream when you're not an expert? Does ambition require a license? Of course not. There is no law anywhere that says you have to have it all figured out before you're allowed to start. This is permission. Permission to be a beginner and permission to learn as you go.
And so this whole story leaves us with this really powerful question that applies to so much more than just building a house. When we set out to do something big in our lives, start a company, change careers, create something brand new, we're always told we need to have a perfect plan. But maybe that's not the real first step. Maybe the real beginning is just giving ourselves permission to not know all the answers, and instead learning to fall in love with the messy, chaotic, and beautiful process of figuring it all out along the way.